Hey everybody, Eric Switzer here for The Gamer, back with another episode of Your Favorite Game, joined by my two jolly co-hosts, George Foster.
Ho ho hello.
And The Gamer's Editor-in-Chief Stacey Henley.
Hello, hello.
Such a wrestling intro I give you. Okay, so today we are here to talk about our favorite games with snow. Do you guys get snow? Where you live, do you have snow?
Yeah.
Not massive. We get like drops, but that's it in Cardiff.
George is in the
Great.
much further south. Obviously, I'm in Newcastle, which is the north, right next to Scotland. We get quite a lot of snow, yeah. It's not like people who listen to this in Canada or the northern parts of America. You get like actual snow. We never get snowed in. Yeah. There's nothing that happens. But snow on the ground, snowball fights, snowmen, yeah, that's still a thing that happens.
Like once a year for us, if that.
More than that for us.
I grew up, history, a little Switzer history lesson. I grew up in the suburbs of St. Louis in Missouri, and we got snow. We got like real snow. We built snow forts. All the kids went to the neighborhood hill to go sledding, like the whole thing. When I was in college, I went to Mizzou, which is only a couple hours from where I grew up, and we had such a severe blizzard that they shut down Mizzou for the first time in like 100 years. They shut it down for like 6 days. We got a whole week off, and I was snowed into my neighborhood. Like the trucks couldn't even get down the street. Like I literally could not leave my condo for 7 days or something.
I mean, that's when it gets scary though, right? I was going to say I was jealous up until I heard that bit.
I mean, yeah, I was 19. We had unlimited liquor. Like it was just a party. It was a good time. And now I live in Los Angeles, and I don't get to see snow anymore. So like
summer all year round.
Yeah, it's just like the perfect. It's just the perfect day every day, which means no seasons, which is very strange for someone that grew up with very dynamic seasons. So I think like snow in Christmas time, of course, but it's such a nostalgic thing. It's such a like for me, it's such a core part of childhood memories, and now I don't get to experience anymore, which just makes it even more nostalgic, right?
Yeah,
because it's like snow is like my childhood. It's gone. So I love snow games for that reason, and for the reason most people do, because it's like cool tech, right?
Yeah.
Walking in the snow displacement, leaving the footprints behind.
Oh, I can think of such an example that goes against that, but we'll go into that later.
We'll get into it. Yeah, we'll get into it. I think snow's just cool because it transforms the world.
Yeah.
It adds depth, and it changes the color, and it like takes something you're so familiar with and makes it completely different.
And I think depending on whether it's like some seasonal games or some live service games that get seasonal events, it kind of transforms the landscape. But even in games where you just have specific snow levels or snow areas, or even they're all set in snow, I don't really think there's any other type of weather that gives such a visual flavor. Because in autumn or fall, and it's like the leaves are different color. It doesn't have that kind of transformative effect that a crisp white blanket of snow does. If you have a snow area, it is the snow area. The weather kind of dominates the landscape, and I think that's what makes it in a video game really cool, because the developers obviously have to consider all those tech stuff, but also the ways in which players are going to explore it, and there's usually something unique. If a game is not all snow, the snow part usually has something unique to it, and I think that's what makes it interesting.
For me,
it's really cool function of the art direction, but it's also just like weather is so atmospheric. I love rain in games too. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. But snow like informs the environment in so many ways. It can it deafens. It's very quiet in the snow because it absorbs sound, and that can be an element in the game that they work with. But it's also very dangerous. You can't move well. You're cold. Like you might be exposed to the elements depending on what the game is.
It's a big thing in a lot of games. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's so baked into just every element. It's not just one thing. It's not just the art. It's not just gameplay. It's like snow really changes everything about a gameplay experience.
And it can also be rad as heck.
It
Yeah.
could also be rad. I want to talk about some rad ones too.
Oh, I've got some rad ones.
Okay, this is one of those ones where it's impossible to make an exhaustive list of snow games because we could just sit here forever going, what about this one? What about this one? There's just so many. So I have my favorite, and then I kind of broke it down into games where the snow is like a key. The thing everybody remembers about this game is the snow. And then another group of games that's like, this couldn't be a game if it didn't have snow. Like the snow is
the game.
What the game is about. Yeah. So cool. Let's get into it. I think it's Stacey's turn to go first. So Stacey, what is your favorite game with snow?
So my favorite game with snow is a contender for my favorite game, full stop, in the history of ever.
Oh, I already know what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Red Dead Redemption 2. I love Red Dead. I don't think I've brought up Red Dead so far in this show for anything. I've definitely been tempted to. And I love the snow. George is booing in the background there. I think the snow is a fantastic
boo Red Dead?
part.
That's wild.
I love the snow. The reason why I love the snow, I think, is also that one of the reasons people hate it. Red Dead Redemption offers you this idea of a power fantasy to be a cowboy, right? We all played the first one. We knew this was a prequel. We knew it was a new character. We were kind of expecting, I think, the highlights of John's game. Because when you think about John, you think of, spoiler, but what happens at the end, and all that kind of tragedy around him. But most of the time with John, he's doing cowboy stuff. He's cattle ranching. He's chasing people off cliffs. He's storming into Mexico, and then Jose Gonzalez starts playing. Red Dead Redemption 2 stops all that. You still get moments of that once you're 10 or so hours in, but you've just failed a bank job. Several of your party members who you've never met yet have died. That's the first thing you find out, that people have died around you. You are, being a cowboy in the snow, you are out of place. Yeah. That's the entire theme of the game. Arthur Morgan is a man out of place and out of time. In Red Dead Redemption 1, the big thematic thing is there's a train track going right through the map. It splits it right down the middle because progress is the theme of that. You cannot hold back progress. I think in Red Dead, it's less about the era ending. I know Arthur talks about that a lot, but it's more about how he as a person feels like his purpose on this planet is no longer noble. He thought of himself as this kind of Robin Hood type figure, and it's not because people died. It's not because this particular job went wrong. Arthur isn't even there for most of it. Arthur's kind of the getaway boat sail person. I don't remember exactly what his job. Arthur's not there when things go wrong, so he doesn't actually know what's happened. It's more that as Arthur goes through the game, he realizes that living on the outskirts of society like this and the pain he inflicts to people, he can no longer do it. And I think having you start in the snow, having you spend a couple of hours in the snow, coming to terms with the fact that you don't belong here, you cannot survive, you will not live forever, you are mortal, all of that stuff, I think grounds Red Dead is what it is. And I think the first time you play the game, I don't think you hate it. You look back at it and you go, I'm glad that's over. But I think the first time you play it, when you meet everyone quite slowly, I think most people actually, if they were honest with themselves, were playing Red Dead for the first time and would go, yeah, okay, this is cool. And then they get it. It's when they replay it and what they want to do is dig up dinosaur bones or go and meet the weird French guy who has the fake paintings or find the aliens or just shoot people in the face. They want to do all the cowboy stuff and then they have to do the snow and they're like, ugh. It's kind of like a really long tutorial, and no one likes tutorials. But I think thematically it works really well. However, it's not the only time we get snow. The game ends in snow, and there's snow all the way through the middle. Go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
I was going to agree. It's such a cool thematic choice. I mean, snow is like isolating, and that's an important theme too. But it's also like we were talking about the way it sort of deafens the world and makes everything quiet. It lends itself to a more like contemplative experience, being alone with your thoughts. And it just makes it a richer story.
Yeah, I think it sets Arthur up as that type of character. which as an isolation that comes back to it at the end. The end of the game, it's John and Sadie, and you're going up this snowy mountain. You're in the same place. You again out of time, out of place. You don't belong there. There's Micah and Dutch living on the outskirts of society. They have been kind of pushed out of this dreamland that they had. They didn't feel their way of life was at an end, and it was anyway. Because it's a prequel, we know what happens. We know Dutch survives because he's in the next one. We know John survives in the next one. We know Javier survives in the next one. And we also know there are characters who aren't in the next one. We're kind of aware that something has to happen to Arthur, something has to happen to Sean, something has to happen to a lot of these characters to cause them to not be in the gang in the next one. And we know that's probably going to be a violent end. So I think it plays with that really well because, you're hunting down Micah, who's not in the next one, so we know something's going to happen to him. But the way it kind of wraps up, it's not just a kind of, you chase him down in the valley and you give him a cowboy's death. Everybody is in an uncomfortable position by the end of the game, and it's because of the snow that I think sells that. Yeah. The bits in the middle where you go hunt for, the hunting work completely differently in the snow. The ice fishing is only in the snow areas. There's some cool side quests that are just in the snowy caves. They're all like fun stuff, but I think the way snow is used to deliberately bookmark the story is I think it's the cleverest thing that Red Dead Redemption 2 does. And I think the second cleverest thing is taking them to Guarma, and everyone hates that as well. So I think there's a disconnect between how well the story is written and the fact some of the bits aren't as fun to play as just rampaging around the map.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think hearing you talk about it, Stace, I feel listening to that like an idiot, like very basic, like, oh yeah, that's true. Those are all good points. So maybe I rescind some of the boos, but I will say one of my problems with Red Dead 2 compared to the first one is its focus on like the survival elements, the eating, the cleaning, all that stuff. And I know that plays a purpose. It's there obviously with intent, but for me, that's what puts me off ever replaying Red Dead 2 again. Like in the moment, you're very connected to it, but I think you're right. The first time through, I was probably like, whoa, this is awesome. And now looking back, I'm like, 10 hours in the snow. No, thank you.
Yeah, I think that the snow bit is quite, because it's like a tutorial, it does have a lot of that. You start in quite warm clothes, and the game kind of, you start in clothes that aren't very warm, the game kind of tells you can't go very far in the snow because you don't have the right clothes on. As you get through the game, you have to make and buy clothes, by hunting pelts and stuff. There is more on the kind of, the chewing tobacco and the keeping your health bar up and your dead eye bar up. There was a bit of that in the first one, because the first one came out around the same time as Assassin's Creed 3, and they both had like really gruesome hunting and skinning mechanics. I remember they were compared a lot at the time. So I think that's probably one of those things that Rockstar just couldn't do in 2010, and that's why it's in 8 years later. But yeah, I think there's definitely more mechanical complexity that possibly... That's one of the things that I think I would agree could be lifted out and you wouldn't lose too much of the experience. The kind of, keeping your health up, or you have to cook with herbs and all that kind of stuff. And I think you can make the argument that it's a little bit overblown in the snowy bits because it's teaching you how the game works. But yeah, like I say, for me, I really, really love the way that it draws you into this idea that you don't belong here. You don't constantly have to go around doing that. You don't need to cook very much the whole game. You'll take, health potions or whatever they are in the game. But the other stuff is kind of complementary. And the snow, it's a bit more necessary. And I think that also kind of goes to, their way of life is ending.
Damn.
Hell of a game.
Yeah, that's clever.
Blood on the Snow is such an evocative image too, right?
Last of Us Part 2 as well for that one. Always cool.
Maybe we'll talk about
maybe later. Yeah.
And then back to like the tech.
That's Rockstar's deal.
That's Rockstar's whole thing, right? And the snow displacement, you can like hit a tree and watch all the snow get knocked off the branches, and there's like snow drifts and it will change volume over time. It's wild. Yeah, you can drag certain animal pelts, so once you've killed an animal, through the snow as well, and that can lead, like, if you're trying to hunt a bear in the snow and you kill a deer first, you can drag that through the snow and the bear will follow the tracks that it's left in the snow, which it won't do as well in the forest,
because there's lots of other smells around, and the tracks are harder to see. But yeah, there's some really cool like natural elements that happen in the snow, and I didn't do that much of them. There's loads of stuff that I won't have discovered in it.
Testicles.
Horse testicles shrink. Yeah, that's another thing that happens.
That's one we all know.
What a gift to games media that was.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Great place to start. George, don't ruin the vibe. What is your favorite game with snow?
My favorite game with snow is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, kind of opposite to Stacey's point about thematic importance, I think the snow. I'm going to sound really basic here, as ever, but the way you react to the snow and have to prepare for it, are kind of similar to Red Dead, I guess. That you have to. There's a section of the map that you just cannot access unless you're prepared for it. You have the clothes, you have a fire blade, you have the right resources. So not only is the game telling you you need to be a bit more, you need some experience before you come here. You can't just go straight to the snow place unless you're cheesing it or just incredibly smart, and I missed it. So the way that Link reacts to the cold throughout the game, and also Tears of the Kingdom's cool. But for me, the best thing about it is the snowboarding, the shield boarding. I know that's really silly, but one of my favorite things it's so much fun. Like,
one of the few things that I unabashedly love in the Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild duology, the way that you move around the world, and the snowboarding or skateboarding in Tears of the Kingdom is a great part of that.
Yeah, I thought that was really basic, but okay. So what always annoyed me is they have that in the grass areas, but obviously you can't do it as much as you want to. You can do it for like maybe 2 seconds, and then whatever pot you've been using to go down the hill just disappears, and then Link's flung, and it's like, okay, I'll never do that again. Why would I risk a shield and my life to do this awesome thing? And then the first time you go in the snow, and it tells you, you can just do that whenever. Just gold. Like, to this day, some of my favorite memories of Breath of the Wild, which is one of my favorite games ever, so this is seemingly a lot of that playtime I spent surfing around, are just going down snowy hills. Like, it's that simple. I know, I feel like I should have gone first because Stacey's was very very clever, and mine's I like snowboarding. But
I mean, you like snowboarding, you didn't pick the snowboarding game, one of the most famous video
We'll
games
talk about
ever.
it later. We'll talk about it later. But the fact in Breath of the Wild, that's not something you need to do ever. Like, really, you could avoid it. You could not know it exists, and it probably wouldn't change your worldview on Breath of the Wild. The fact that it's just one of the many things you can do in that world and create your own memories, I think that's one of the big things that makes Breath of the Wild special. I know, Stacey, you're not a big fan. Eric and I, we really love it.
Yeah.
Actually, I know you like Tears of the Kingdom, Eric. I presume you love Breath of the Wild as much as me.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, like, one of the most special things about it is its, I guess, water cooler nature. Like, what I did here, what you did. Everything that you go through in that game is unique to you. Like, my time was mostly spent climbing stuff, jumping off stuff. To me, that's special. Like, there are people out there who like the lore, they like the fighting, less about the weapons and stuff. But
people do like the weapons. They're divisive. People, I should say, as the noted Zelda hater, people do like the weapons.
Yeah, we'll get into that one day, maybe. But the snowboarding is just one of those special moments you can come into, and it always stuck out to me.
Cool tech in this one too, isn't there? You can roll snowballs, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger as they go down the hill, right?
Yeah, and like I said, the Fireblade stuff, that's one of the many little details I had no idea about, and then you just see a post like, oh, did you know you can have like fire weapons equipped and you're completely immune to the effects of the cold? It's like, oh, cool, I guess I'll play again for another 100 hours.
They do that in Ghost of Tsushima as well. It's not one that I had thought to mention, that just reminds me, but when you go up the snowy mountains and that, if you do the trick where you wipe the oil on the blade and it flames, that protects you from cold damage in Ghost of Tsushima as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'd forgotten it until you mentioned it. It wasn't on my list of things to mention because it's such a small part of the game, the mountain. But yeah, that's a cool technique, the fire weapon protecting you from cold damage. I think there is something thematic to Zelda as well, because like most games just have this is warm, you need to have light clothes on. This is hot, you need to have oh, this is cold. You have heavy clothes on. Even Red Dead does that. But in Zelda, there's different types of heat and different types of cold. There's certain types of armor that if you wear in one of the deserts, when you wear in a different desert, it doesn't protect you. Or when we're like near a volcano and stuff.
It's like fire versus like heat.
Acrid heat, yeah. So I think there is a thematic link to how Zelda plays with its weather. It's trying to create, I think, arguably for the first time in Zelda. I don't know how people will feel about that because people tend to have more emotional reactions than I do.
Badly.
But it's the first time that I think Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, is the first time that it seems to have presented a real kingdom realm, something that feels like a living biome world, not just a kind of fantasy place of there's a volcano over there. Oh, look, there's a waterfall. I think it's the first time it felt like the world was alive and interacted with itself from the other kind of dungeon crawling adventure games.
Isn't Twilight Princess has pretty famous snow too?
I'm one of those fake Zelda fans that started with Breath of the Wild. Yeah,
you started with Breath of the Wild, really?
Well, I dabbled in the others. Like Wind Waker, I was super hyped for, but it never hit. But Breath of the Wild is like up there.
That surprises me. I mean, I've played a few of them. I've never really loved any of them. Ocarina of Time, which is even more basic, would be my favorite. But even then, it's like, it's good. Yeah, canny. Maybe a top 15 game on Nintendo.
Yeah, good choice, George.
Eric, what is your favorite game with snow?
My favorite game with snow is called It Takes Two.
Ooh,
oh, damn. That's
a great
so good.
one, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
okay.
So you played that last year.
Them all.
Damn.
It Takes Two has a snow level that takes place inside of a snow globe.
Yes.
It's a snow globe that Cody and May got on their first trip to a ski resort. So the snow globe, inside the snow globe is like a miniature version of the ski resort, and the whole level is about remembering special memories that they shared together, special experiences they had together. This is like the part of the story where they're starting to like reconnect and remember what they love about each other. And so it's a lot of them like sharing memories. Oh, do you remember our first Christmas together? And like, do you remember when, the ski resort, it's bringing back so many memories. And they're talking about their childhood. And Cody's talking about how he like grew up playing hockey. And so it's just very like baked into this theme of nostalgia and good memories, which is like how what I was talking about, how I connect to the snow stuff. But I think like what makes this especially special is that it's 2-player, and because you're getting to play in the snow with someone else, it makes it really unique. But it also is like captures that like childhood Christmas break snow day experience so well, and it's so filled with just stuff to play with. Like there's like you like race a couple times, you like ice skate against each other, and then there's like a bobsled race. There's just snowballs everywhere you can just pick up and have snowball fights.
You just eat all the food as well. That's fun.
You eat the food. There's a cool thing with the swings and the magnets.
What
was the magnet thing?
That's the main power
so
for that.
You each have
area.
a half of a magnet. And so all the puzzle solving is using the magnets. And you can like swing each other really high. Like it's just got like playground stuff, and it just feels like a snow day. And I love that level so much. The first half. The second half is the underwater level, which we did a whole underwater level and never even talked about.
For good reason. That bit's fine.
But I just love the way that it captures like the idea of nostalgia and the idea of like winter break. It's good.
I think,
is that before or after the greenhouse level? Does anyone remember off the top of their head?
I think it's after. In my head, the greenhouse is pretty early.
Yeah. Because if it's after, then like the perfect refresh, that greenhouse level is probably my least favorite in the game. And then to have that moment of like just this open area, and the two are finally starting to click, and there's actual progress in the story, but also just how much fun stuff you can do, like What a perfectly paced game. What a game overall.
What a
It's
game.
a great game.
I'm so annoyed I didn't think of that. That's literally spot on.
I think a big thing with it, for especially with what you're saying of like the nostalgia it is, most people, I actually don't know if you did, Judge, but Eric, I know you did, and I know I did. A lot of people play it with their partners who don't usually play games, so you're kind of, you're bringing, I felt like the reason probably one game of the year, I think that gave it the edge, it feels like you're bringing other people into that world. It feels like you're showing them a thing. And it's kind of a similar way, maybe, to the way we saw Baldur's Gate take off last year. It felt like people who didn't usually play that genre were getting into it. It Takes Two wasn't just people who don't usually play that type of game. People who don't play games at all were being brought into it with somebody they trusted by the side, obviously playing a couple going through a divorce, so there was that kind of connection there anyway. And yeah, I think for a lot of people, when they think of nostalgia and snow and stuff, they think of things they did with family, things they did with partners and stuff. And I think that relationship, you're not doing it with like, I know some people did play it with friends, but most people played it with someone, probably the more special person to them. And I think that makes the moments more special because of it.
I did both. I played with my best friend before meeting my partner now, and there was still that same romance, weirdly, still that same sense of connection. And then last Christmas I played it with my partner now, and we'd played games before, but this was the first one where it was, sitting down, just like a full night of playing it, and it was so special. Like, now we play more games, and I really do think It Takes Two was a big part of that. So I'm so annoyed that you thought of it, Eric. That's good. God damn.
Yeah, Stacey's point rings so true for me, because I played it with Tina, and she grew up here in California, lived here her whole life. So she doesn't have any memories of
she doesn't know what snow is.
She's never heard of snow. So getting to play in the snow with her and have snowball fights with her and go ice skating, like, these are things we have never done together and didn't like do growing up together. But now I get to show her, hey, when I was a kid, we threw balls of snow at each other. Imagine it. Hey, water freezes on the ground and then it's slippy. Okay, cool. We have so many more. Yeah. There's so much more to get into. I want to talk about a few that are snow games. These are not games with snow. These are snow games. And one of the first one that comes to mind is Frostpunk.
Yeah.
Which is a... you don't know this, George?
Sequel just came out this year.
Yeah, I know it was a big thing, but not my jam. No snowboarding.
This is a survival sim where you're protecting a settlement against the elements,
by sending children into the coal mines.
Yeah. It's very grim. It's very difficult, but it's the ultimate like winter survival simulator. Very cool. The second one that came to mind was The Long Dark. You know this one?
No.
Oh, okay.
Rings a bell. But
The Long Dark is a single-player survival game like The Forest or like many survival crafting games. But it's about the northerns of Canada surviving the winter. Similarly, Subnautica Below Zero, which isn't so snowy, but it's icebergs and stuff like that. Snow Runner, the driving sim, driving big trucks in the snow. People really like that one. There is a detective walking sim I quite enjoy called Kona.
I'm not sure of that either.
Okay,
lots of games I've not played.
Kona is about a detective. He's going to investigate vandalism in like a small town in Canada, and then a blizzard comes in and traps him there. Very cool little story game. And then Tangential, I'm glad I got to name like 7 games you guys have never heard of. Tangential would be snowboarding games.
Yes.
I know George would get excited about that.
I have a controversial take that SSX, the reboot, which I believe was 2012, is the best one. People will hate that. I think it's true.
Not only controversial, it's wrong.
It's so good. To this day, if I think of a game I'm good at, like I'm sure that you two are the same, where it's like we play so many games where it's impossible to like master any. I'm sure there are some you come back to and you feel like, oh, I'm really good at this. But
Yeah.
SSX, I was pulling off like million point scoring combos. Just what a game!
Well, you've
game.
played Tony Hawk's Swan with me, so you know what that game
Yes.
is.
Oh
for
yeah.
me.
Okay. Yeah.
Or Crash
So
Team
SSX
Racing.
is my Tony Hawk. That's it.
Yeah. The thing is, most people who love SSX played it when they were 5. And so did you, but the one you played when you were 5 was the reboot, so that's the association you had.
For real. SSX Tricky.
Yes.
That's the one everyone always says.
That was
good as well. Obviously very
childhood.
good as well. But it's no SSX reboot. Big up survival elements.
One that I really liked was Steep.
Yeah, I like Steep.
I
Steep
thought
was cool.
Steep was super cool. Yeah.
What was that one that Ubisoft did? That it's like it had snowboarding as well.
Right,
it was
as
kind
Republic.
of like yes, it had snowboarding as well.
That
right?
was the same
super
people who
cool.
made Steep, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
That was it was such a weird thing to do. It's an extreme sports racing game, but it's a live service. If there was a version of Riders Republic they could have made, that would have been great, and they just made it wrong. Or they were told to make it wrong. I don't even think it was people who made it. I think it was people who put money into it.
I wish it did well, because it doesn't do like any of its mechanics as good as the ones that focus on it, but it does them all to a level it's like, oh, it's actually really fun to swap between, cycling around, then snowboarding, then a jet for
Just
some
got to
reason.
give it some beans, dog.
Oh. Flashback.
Such a niche genre of extreme sports. It's a sports game. It's an extreme sports game. It's a snowboarding game. Not the most popular genre, but I guess there is a lot of them. There was a lot of SSX 1080 games, right?
I'm struggling to remember. In the back of my head, I'm like, oh, there's got to be a Disney snowboarding game somewhere. I don't think there is, and I can't remember anything other than SSX.
I remember Simpsons did a lot of those extreme sports, and never did a snowboarding one.
Was it like a Cool Runners? Is that a thing?
Cool Running wasn't skateboarding. It was
Cool Borders.
Cool yes, Cool Borders was one.
Cool Borders.
Yeah, I thought
What
I
is
remembered something.
Borders?
Cool. It's basically just SSX, but not as good.
Yeah.
What happened? The PS2 was filled with snowboarding games, and then that stopped.
Because every all sports games, unless you're Topspin, take like 5 years to make now, unless you have a steady formula, and they have to be hits for that time. Like for EA to put that time into it, it's like, why would they?
Yeah, that's exactly it. You can make a game in a year back then.
God,
there's
Cool
9 Cool Borders
Alien.
games. Wow.
Yeah, and they're all on PS2. I bet.
how did we not mention it until now?
Cool Borders, nice,
More like Drool Borders.
radical.
Wait.
Okay, let's talk about some more famous snow levels.
Yes.
Obviously, Frozen Wilds, the expansion to
Horizon
Zero Dawn.
Yes, Horizon.
Yep. There's snow stuff before the expansion a little bit.
Yeah, just
up in
that
the
area of the
corner.
map gets bigger.
And then that area of the map gets way bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Cool. As with everything with Horizon story, who cares? But the the new monsters. So what do they call them? Constructs. What's the name?
Dinobots.
They're not called Dinobots in the game.
Dinobots. Yeah, they're Zords.
The new things, the beasts. I don't know. I can't remember. It's gonna annoy me.
Yeah.
Mecha beasts.
They were cool.
Very cool.
I think they're just called machines now. I think
It is the machines. Oh my god! Yes, it is the machines.
It's just the machines. Rise of the Tomb Raider is just a snow game, basically, right?
And a damn good one.
Legends got some snow levels as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uncharted 2. Oh my god. Why have
Uncharted
I just
2.
thought that?
Yeah. Uncharted 2 is a huge one. Yeah. Tibet. I mean, that's where the climax of the game is, and the
opening.
The Yetis.
Yeah.
But that,
I like the Yetis.
I was trying to remember, that may be the first game, certainly the first one I played, that had the footstep like snow displacement.
It seems like something that Naughty Dog would do.
I believe it.
Yeah. I was looking at older snow games, and I couldn't find any other ones that had that, where you leave footprints.
Well, we've talked about Rockstar being at the forefront of technology.
Yeah.
Bully is on my list.
Bully,
I had a whole chapter in the snow.
Bully's
like the Christmas
chapter is cool.
I loved that. That was almost my number one pick.
Before Uncharted
and do they
2?
have the footprint thing?
Long
It's
before.
before Uncharted 2, yeah, but do they have the footprint thing? I don't know.
Probably to some degree. They had like the GTA bloody footprints. So I'm sure Rockstar was like, snow footprints, that's a thing.
Yeah, the snow part of Bully, very famous.
Very cool.
Death Stranding, we talked about a lot last week.
Yes. Oh my god.
It has a very frustrating, but very good,
very frustrating runtime from start to finish.
Yeah, very, very frustrating period. But you can sled down the snow in that one too, which is a big time saver. Feels good. Last of Us.
Yeah.
Especially
both games, but I think
and No
Return.
Return.
For me, I think for me it's the winter in the first one that's sticks in my mind more, right? Could be because we just had the TV show, but
Ellie and Dina, when they're chatting, going through the snow on the horses, and
the opening. Yeah, I was thinking of the stuff with Abby, but the opening chapter with Ellie is a really good one, actually.
And you have the snowball fight to teach how to shoot, basically.
Yeah, with the kids.
I think it's two for me. Yeah. But both are good choices. Both are valid.
The first one, I hate that so much. Every time someone says that, I want them to describe to me what they mean by valid. The first one, Eric is right, though, it is driven by seasons. It's kind of on the nose with its theming, but it's very thematic in that it's a year in a flow of time. 2 has a lot more obviously has flashbacks, which one doesn't, but it uses the Christmas motif a lot as well. Rather than just snow, we see Owen, is he called? Owen and Abby
Owen.
preparing for Christmas. So we see the season more than the actual snow, other than the Ellie bit, which I'd forgotten about.
Cool Mountain from Mario 64.
Yeah,
I was thinking of the game. Yeah.
Meh.
Come on.
I mean, platformers have a whole host,
Crash, Spyro,
you throw
Rayman.
a baby penguin off a mountain.
Yeah.
My vote for that, Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex, the first level in that, which I cannot remember.
Cold Hard Crash is its name.
I figured Stace might. That is one of that game's best levels and one of the only really good ones. So that always sticks out to me.
I think that's harsh on 2. I don't like some of the stuff in 2. I think it's harsh. It only has a few good levels, but Cold Hard Crash is a great one. Spyro's got some really cool ice levels as well.
Yes.
One where the Eskimos want to go to the hockey game, so they lock up the dinosaurs. You fly through the cave with the ice spiders in Spyro. That's a cool bit.
I do hate the ice hockey, though.
The ice hockey is a different bit. The ice hockey is the Yeti game, but I love the ice hockey game.
It's so hard. I got so frustrated because you're on a timer. You have to score a certain number of shots before the time runs out.
Yeah.
And I struggle. I still struggle with that one.
There's one in 3 as well. There's an ice hockey bit in 3, which is harder. The one in 2 I like a lot. 1 and 2 is up on a little goat mountain. The 1 in 3 is when you get Bentley. You have to fight Bentley at boxing, but it's in that level, I think, that there's hockey.
Yeah. I think it's about time to play all the Spyro games again, is what you're saying.
Yeah. We've been chatting about them
to make another one.
Yeah.
Okay, a very special shout out to Canehurst Castle from Bloodborne.
You might be alone on that one, Eric.
Bloodborne.
I played a little bit of Bloodborne.
Unfortunate. So,
I was too young.
Canehurst Castle is a really interesting part of the game because you leave the map. You're it's all interconnected. You're finding your way around Yarnum. But then Canehurst Castle, you get in a buggy and you leave. And you go to a completely different map. It feels like it could be DLC, but it's not. It's part of the main game. And it's this really self-contained winter castle, and it's so creepy. I think it's the best representation of the danger of winter and the beauty of winter, on top of each other. It's doing both of them at the same time, and it's so cool. Canehurst Castle rules. Everybody who's listening knows exactly what I'm talking about.
That is true. Bloodborne is a blind spot for me. I'm surprised George doesn't know, but it's not my thing.
I played 15 hours, but I was 15, so
gotta get to it. Okay.
Well, release it then, Sony. I'll play it again.
You can play it. You can play it on PS Plus, I'm sure. It was part of the Gold Collection.
It was part of the Gold, yeah. If you have a PS5, you already own it.
Right. Yeah.
Damn. Okay, fair.
Arkham.
Yes.
Yeah, Arkham Origins.
Origin and City
all
have
of
the
them.
freeze level. Does Asylum have a snow bit?
it's snowing in all of those games.
Yeah, I suppose I think of Origins as the snow one, but you are right. There's snow in all of them.
Origins is the Christmas one.
That's
right?
yes. That's
Christmas
maybe a
Eve.
better distinction.
Yeah, but it is snowing in all 4 of those games.
What?
Yeah, it's winter.
Even
and
night's like rainy,
Yeah.
right? Oh, damn.
Night,
No,
the weather
no.
changes a little bit at night because there's a poison ivy bit, but it does snow in the game.
Yeah. It is snowing through that whole series. Really cool. Snow at night. Arkham owns that aesthetic, and it rules.
Or just trying to check on the
Spider-Man
theme.
Miles Morales.
Does it belong to Spider-Man Miles Morales? Yeah, the snow in Miles Morales is excellent. And you can wear a little Santa hat and a scarf.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with Stace on this
Miles
one.
is a great one.
I love the snow Miles.
Maybe best Christmas game.
Yeah. Walk around the park, and I love the when he can put him in his little winter coat and he's just got his basketball shorts on and just walk around the park.
Yeah.
Do his little
Miles.
dance.
A few more. Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Pretty famous for its what's it called? Skellige?
It's Skellige Isles, right?
Skellige Isles or the
Yeah,
snowy
it's like the
ones?
Viking-y area.
Yeah.
It's that kind of classic fantasy snow, isn't it? It's like the kind of snow in Game of Thrones where it's not really Christmas or nice snow. It's just this like oppressive ice that falls from the sky.
It's just like people live here. Yeah. Skyrim.
Obviously,
Yes, of course.
Obviously. People have spent more time in the snowy parts of Skyrim than any other game, I'm sure. The Division.
Yeah.
The first one.
Yes, first one.
The first one is winter time.
God of War Ragnarok. Anybody?
Yes.
Definitely a good one.
And
Ragnarok.
God of War 2018.
Oh yeah. Oh
Those
yeah.
notes
Okay.
set
God of
in-
War.
set in
God of War.
Norway.
And 2 specific Assassin's Creeds that come to mind were Valhalla and 3.
Yeah, I was thinking 3.
Is Revelation snowy as well? Because that one sucks. But
I don't think it sucks. And I don't think
Only
it is.
you
I
would
can't
know.
remember the snow.
I think that. Oh, and then sorry, our special segment, Ark Survival Evolved Story Time. Here we go back to Ark. Okay, so the map I played on the most during my time with Ark was called the Center, and my home base was in the southeast corner of the map. The snowy mountainous biome was in the northwest corner of the map, exactly the opposite. And so it was quite a journey to get there, but it was a worthwhile journey because that is where you can tame wolves. And wolves are a very special mount because they are the fastest that can carry the most. There are faster mounts and there are mounts that can carry more. But if you want something that's fast and has a really high weight capacity, you need a wolf. And they're just really cool. They're really fun. They're really fun to breed because you get all kinds of different patterns in their coats. And they're born live, unlike dinosaurs that have to hatch from eggs.
So you don't have to wait like 20 hours.
So you can breed them faster, and the baby wolves are so cute. They're super duper cute. And they're just a really fun mount, but they're so hard to tame because they're in packs. And they often have an alpha, and you can't tame the alphas. You have to kill them, and they're really hard to kill. So I spent a lot of time like taking my boat, across the ocean to the northwest, and that would take a long time. And then building like a crow's nest with my binoculars, scanning for wolves out in the tundra, looking for packs of wolves, and then trying to isolate the highest level one. Like you're looking for a perfect wolf, which is like level 150. But then it's got its pack of wolves with it. So you have to figure out how to trap the best one and not get killed by all the other ones. Really cool adventures in Ark.
That is just a foreign world to me. Like, no clue. First time I'm happy for you, Eric.
Yes.
At this point, dude, I talk about it every episode. At this point, you must have some clue.
It takes a while to do stuff, is all I'm getting.
It takes
do you want to do the second segment that we do every week, George, and talk about Dead Rising 4?
I don't want to talk about Dead Rising 4. I will never want to talk about Dead Rising 4.
But it does have snow.
Make me talk about Dead Rising 4, but it does have snow. The Christmas element to that game is fine. The rest is an embarrassment. And
do you remember the E3 reveal?
The weird like live action trailer?
They made it snow in the theater.
Did they? Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they made it.
I was probably too angry at life. It's like, oh,
you were angry at the reveal of Dead Rising.
Decided that you hated it already.
I knew. We tuned in, Dead Rising fans. We all knew.
I had friends who worked on that, and they were in town for E3, so I knew it was going to happen. You know, they were coming to visit, and I hadn't seen them in many years, so that was really fun. For me, I know that game's not great.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I'm being harsh, but it is something I pop on at Christmas for 5 minutes before remembering why I don't play it. Yeah, the rest of the year.
Gosh, there's so many more, but that's sort of the main ones I wanted to talk about. Are there any big ones I'm forgetting? Any other ones you guys wanted to talk about?
I had a big list that you've run through them.
Yeah,
Nice.
Batman,
uncharacteristically,
Spider-Man,
I interrupted
Bully.
for most of those.
Batman, Spider-Man, all the mans,
Yeah.
Snowman.
Yeah. SSX Bully were on mine as well.
Nice. Okay, cool. That's our favorite games with snow. But now it's your turn to tell us your favorite game with snow. Leave us a comment down below. That's it for this episode. We'll be back next week with a very special Game Awards themed episode. Very excited about that. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell, visit us at thegamer.com. That's The Gamer, no spaces.